This is the Mercedes C-Class, and it's a little bit like the smallest of Russian dolls, because you can imagine it fitting inside the E-Class, which would fit inside the S-Class. It looks super premium. Now, Mercedes has just updated it, so it's got some new lights and it's got some new tech and new engines and a simplified model range as well. And it's a kind of car you're probably going to be considering if you're also looking at a BMW 3 Series or an Audi A4. Now, the C-Class, it starts from £29,000. Let's kick off this review by talking about the design of the C-Class. So it's been around for quite a while now, but it still looks very, very elegant. The big tail lights, the chrome strips, got chrome down here as well, and on the exhaust surround. And there is a real exhaust pipe in here on this petrol model, so yay, that's good. There's even a diffuser here. It's a fake diffuser though, it's not really doing much, but it does look sporty. Down the side, strong shoulder lines and stuff. It does look quite impressive, and you've got nice bits of chrome as well, which makes it feel expensive. Now, as you move up the range, you get bigger alloy wheels, and if you go for an AMG line version, they are just a bit more sporty with bigger, more aggressive front bumpers. There is some fakery here as well, though. Look, that doesn't feed air anywhere, but it does look like a posh car. And of course, you've got not just one huge Mercedes 3-point star here, there's another one on the bonnet as well, so lots of branding. The best of nothing. The inside of the Mercedes C-Class is pretty much identical to it was before it was revised. Now, generally, I like the design, but when you compare it to the very latest Mercedes, such as the cheaper A-Class, it doesn't feel quite as modern. So here's a look at the A-Class's interior. Now have a look at this. Nice, but like I say, it's starting to feel its age a touch. But things that you touch feel expensive. Here, soft touch, here, soft touch, here, soft touch, softy, softy, even softy on the door bins, softy, and then there's metallic-y, expensive-y bits, or more metallic-y, expensive-y bits, and here, and here. There's quite a bit of bling in here, and this piano black plastic on the centre console looks good. Word of warning though, you touch it with anything and you'll scratch it. Also, things feel solid, look. No flex in the centre console when I wobble it like I did in a Kia Stinger, and it wobbled and everyone got mad because I'd never done that before. Anyway, yeah, it feels solid. The major difference with this car though is infotainment system. And that brings me onto the specs. The C-Class range kicks off with the S model, and it gets Artico leather seats. Artico is Mercedes speak for fake. There's also rain sensing wipers, but I think you avoid the S because the rest of the spec is terrible. You get halogen headlamps. Then there's the SE model, which gets a 10-inch infotainment screen with inbuilt sat-nav. It also has a reversing camera and park assist, which will automatically park the car for you if you're rubbish at it. And heated front seats. Next is a sports model, and it gets lowered, stiffened, sportier suspension. Full LED headlights. That's my impression of a headlight. And a Napa leather sports steering wheel. The AMG line gets upgraded brakes, tinted windows. Yeah, that was my reflection. Can't see in there. And a 12-inch digital driver's display. Then there's some key packs that you might want, such as the Premium Plus pack, which includes an upgraded satellite navigation system, internet connectivity, ambient lighting with, look, 64 different colour choices and 360-degree view cameras to make it easy when parking. Oh, it also includes a Burmester stereo, which sounds awesome. Another one worth having is the driving assistance pack, because it includes an upgraded cruise control system which will do the whole thing of slowing you down automatically in traffic and steering to keep you in lane. Let's continue this review by assessing the infotainment system. So it's better than the one that was previously in the C-Class. However, it's not the very latest one that you get in the A-Class, so there's no touchscreen. Instead, you control it either using the swivel wheel, the touchpad on the left side of the steering wheel. And it is pretty easy to navigate. The graphics are sharp and generally quite easy to use. Sat-nav's pretty good as well, and it'll divert you around traffic and do all that kind of stuff. It's easy to input destinations, but what I do is just run Google Maps or Waze through your Android phone or Apple phone through Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Now, the optional digital driver's display is also pretty good. I do like it, and you can control it using the button on the right-hand side of the wheel. It's not quite as configurable as the system you get on an Audi A4, but it's still fairly nice. Now, in terms of connectivity, if you look under here, you have an input there for your mobile phone. That's where you plug in you'll want for the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There's a couple more in here as well you can use if you prefer. So that's 3 in the front, which is good. Where is the 12-volt socket? I can't see it. No, that's unusual. What is it? Maybe it's in the glove box. Can't even see. It's a weird opening. No, it's all right size, that is actually. Ow, I just hit my head on that. Anyway, you do have a charging pad there for your mobile phone. I'm going to continue with the cubby spaces. So the door bins, they are large and they are long. So you can put various bottles in there and lie them down if you so wish. And here there are some cup holders, which, yeah, fine for your coffee. All right for the smaller cups as well. They won't knock the top off. They do rattle about a bit though, because it's a bit loose. But look, you can do this. If you want to use that area for something else, you can remove the cup holders. You also get a place for your sunglasses. Look, so it's actually left there. Ray-Ban aviators in there. This car is actually from Mercedes-Benz Chelsea, so it must be the dealers. Wonder if he'll notice if I keep them. Anyway, the seating position is pretty good. You can adjust the seat base. There is plenty of movement in the seat, actually. It goes so far back, really far back, and you can get it high enough if you're short and low enough. You know, all these manufacturers are nailing the seating position. My only concern with the C-Class is that the steering wheel is slightly offset to the left, so you do feel a touch twisted behind the wheel, but it's not as bad as on older Mercedes. So I think that's the front dealt with. Let's go into the back and check it out there for rear passengers. So the rear doors, they open nice and wide, but this wheel arch does intrude quite a bit, so it's just a little bit more awkward to get into than some other posh German cars. But once you're in, it does feel posh indeed. I love things like this. You've got actual flaps like on an airplane. The materials feel quality all the way back here. It is good. Knee room, that's good as well. What's not so good though, look at that headroom. My gosh, it is a little bit tight. People over 6 foot will struggle, and that's the price you pay for that sloping roof line. It's made worse by having the glass roof. Now if you need to carry 3 at once, it's all right, the middle seat. The only problem is that while you do have more headroom in the middle, the people on the outside get pushed outwards, so their heads end up hitting this roofline the way it arcs in. Also, the footwells aren't the biggest in the world, so you do end up having to play a little bit of kind of foot wars. It's not terrible, it's just not as good for carrying 3 people in the back as a BMW 3 Series. Can't complain about the door bins though back here, look massive, nor the fact that, well, hey, the rear windows, they go all the way down so you can lean out. If you've got kids in the back and they need to charge their mobile devices, you're going to have to use this 12-volt socket with an adapter. Though handily, they do have an ashtray if they like to smoke. Weird. Anyway, more storage here. So you've got a little tray here. In fact, that's so soft. It's almost like having a cat to stroke. It's calming. Yeah, you've got some pop-out cup holders there as well, if you need them. And if you want to carry longer items and still have people in the back seats, some through loading there, great for skis or long stuff like, I don't know, decking, I guess. In terms of carrying a child seat, no problem. I like the Isofix anchor covers. They just push back like that, so it's dead easy to mount them and you won't be losing the clips because they're permanently attached like that. And it's actually easy enough to fit a child seat in here. There is enough room. Though if you carry 2 at once, there's not much space between them, so you can't really carry a person in between. Now, while I've been speaking to you, there's this thing that's been putting me off. It's like a weird robot face in the air vents. I wish it would just look away. Go and look away over there. Now it can freak you out. Let's move on to the boot, shall we? The capacity is about average for this size of car, though it's 10% less than the Audi A4s or the BMW 3 Series. Also, the opening isn't quite so wide, it's a bit curved, so it's a little harder to load. The load lip itself isn't too high though, it's not difficult hoiking things out of the boot. You do have some nets here and tie down hooks and hooks to hang things off. Also, there's some extra space under here, and I like how you hook that up on there as well, so you can mess around underneath here. And look, you get the classic Mercedes useful shopping little basket thing here. Yes, yeah, I don't know why I'm so impressed with that. Always am though. And as you can see, there's a decent amount of storage under that bit there. If you've got the fold down seats, you just pull those levers to release them, and then have to lean in to push it all down, and it's actually quite a flat low bay, so you can push things to the front. Though it does narrow slightly towards the front, the boot does, so it does impair what you can carry in there. So what exactly can you carry? Well, with those back seats down, you can carry a bike with both wheels attached, or 2 large boxes and 1 small one, 6 small boxes, a large suitcase and a soft bag. Fold the seats back up and you can carry 2 large and 2 small suitcases and a set of golf clubs. So not too bad in all. However, let's talk about 5 annoying things about this C-Class. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto aren't standard. They cost £300. This pop-up door lock knob is a little bit old-fashioned looking, and it means you can't rest your arm up there if you wanted to. Out and comfy. You think it'd be a jolly good idea to put the shortcut buttons for the infotainment system with the main controller, but no, Mercedes thought not. It decided to put them up there separately. With the hybrid version, the batteries eat into boot space, and as a result you have 150 litres less load capacity. There is only one colour of paint that comes as standard, and that's white. Everything else you have to pay for. Thankfully, this car has plenty of cool features to help make up for all this. Here's 5. The upgraded front bass sound system uses the chassis cross member to amplify the subwoofer because its solid structure gives clear bass. The satellite navigation system knows when you're entering a tunnel, and it puts the ventilation system on to recirculate so it doesn't blow in any nasty fumes. Cars with full LED headlights can adjust the beam from their 84 individual LEDs 100 times a second so they don't dazzle oncoming drivers. The reversing camera pops out when you need it, and then when you don't, it goes away again. And that means that when you're driving along, it doesn't get covered in dirt. The C-Class has been approved by the European Centre for Allergy Research because its pollen filter is so good at filtering out dust and pollen that you don't have to worry about suffering allergies while driving around in the car. Achoo. Now it's time to talk about the engine choices, and bear with me. So, there's quite a lot. It's 1.5, 1.6, 2 litre turbo petrols. There's also 1.6, 2 litre turbo diesels in the normal cars, but you can always get performance versions with either a V6 petrol engine or a V8 petrol engine. Of the normal cars, the best bet will be a 2 litre diesel C220D. Good blend of performance and economy, great for long distance work. You can actually get a hybrid as well, a plug-in hybrid, but it's not one of the best plug-in hybrids on the market, unfortunately. Entry-level cars come with a manual gearbox. You don't want that. You want your Mercedes with an auto. You can also get it with 4-wheel drive, though that's not strictly necessary, to tell you the truth. Right then, it's time to see what this car's like to drive. So I'm going to start off with in-town driving, and being a Mercedes, this car is set up with comfort in mind. However, it does do this thing when you're over kind of slight bumps or broken surfaces where it shimmies a little bit more than you imagine. It's not as soft or as cruisy as something like the slightly larger E-Class. It does have a soft feeling to it though, and like the controls are light, and that does make it easy to do U-turns. In fact, the turning circle on this E-Class is pretty blooming good. So if you need to go around a mini roundabout, no problems at all. You're not going to have to do a 3-point turn. Also, the brakes, they're quite assisted, so you have to touch them, otherwise you're going to end up like going bang with your head against the steering wheel. So you just press things lightly. It's all very easy, all very relaxing, all what you'd expect from a Mercedes. Special shout out to the gearbox. This 9-speed automatic gearbox is lush. It's almost like there is no gearbox. Everything is just smooth progress. I like that about it. There's something else I like about this gearbox which is unique to Mercedes. So the actual gear selector is on the column, which is brilliant when you're manoeuvring. So there, I want to go into reverse because I'm going to park. The view out the back isn't the best because you've got those huge pillars. Now this car does have a auto park function on it, but I never use them because by the time you've set them up and got them running, someone's nicked your space, especially in London. But the reversing camera does help. So do the sensors. I'm going to get super close to that. Oh, look at that. Probably fit a Rizzler paper between bumpers there. Nailed it. The way you can just flip like that between drive and reverse, so super easy. Dead easy car to park there. In fact, I think that's the best I've ever parked at anything ever in my life. And you witnessed it here. Good stuff, Mercedes. When you get out on the motorway, the C-Class's slightly fidgety suspension does improve a bit, but it's still not the most comfortable for travelling long distance, but it's by no means bad. and it's reasonably relaxing, apart from, depending on the surface, you can get quite a bit of tyre noise. Now let's see what this engine is like. So it's the 2-litre turbo with 258 horsepower. I'm in comfort mode. I'm going to floor it like I need to overtake. See how fast I can get to 70. Gearbox kicks down pretty well. Oh, and it pulls pretty hard. There we go, that's 70. It's quick, and it makes quite a sporty, raspy sound. It's surprising to have that noise in a C-Class, because you think it'd just be muted and quiet. I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all, actually, but it is a bit surprising. Let's check out the economy. So, yeah, this is averaging that much. Finally then, let's see what the C-Class is like when you encounter some twisty roads. So I'm going to put the car into dynamic sport plus mode. There we go. And that sharpens at the throttle response and adds a bit of weight to the steering. Makes the gearbox shift quicker as well. So here we go. Now this car is rear wheel drive, which is the setup that you have in sports cars. So let's see what happens. It actually does all right, grips well, but nah, it's starting to like push wide, and the steering feels slightly disconnected. It's a bit rubbery, shall we say. It can go around corners all right, but you do get a little bit too much body lean. It's not the sportiest of sports saloons. Oh, yeah, come on. Oh, yeah, it's a bit like hurrying your granddad down the road. Let's not do that. Let's back off. It's better to just waft about with this thing, I think. It's all right, but I'd never describe it as fun in any way, shape or form. So then, what's my final verdict on the Mercedes C-Class? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it, or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should consider the C-Class. It is a posh family car, but it's just starting to show its age a little. Bit like me then, eh?